Good evening, everybody, and welcome to 1111. Let the journey begin. My name is Ines Cerqueira, and I am delighted to present to you tonight the second part of a series of six talks that gonna run in English and Portuguese about Our Lady of Fatima and about the secrets tonight, the secrets, the prophecies, and all the stories behind it. If you are fascinated by the apparitions of Fatima or even of Lourdes or Nossa Senhora de Guadalupe and other apparitions, if you are a devoted Marian, devoted to the Sacred Heart of Mary, to the Immaculate Conception, to the Rosary, this is definitely a place where you want to be. And I am delighted that you are here joining me tonight in English at 8:08 South Africa time. And I hope that you can see me from many parts of the world, especially in those countries where there are larger numbers of devotion, and those countries that have been consecrated to the Sacred Heart of Mary. And some countries come to my mind as Japan and France and Portugal, and also Poland and Austria and Belgium and Brazil, but so many others. Hope that I have not forgotten any, at least not the official ones. And of course, Russia as well, that has been consecrated. And if you are there already watching tonight, can you please leave a comment for that I can see where you are speaking to us? It's going to be very difficult for me to answer to your comments as they come through. I will promise to look at them at the end of this live broadcast, and I will try to engage as much as possible. And I ask you please to do so. And it doesn't mean that you only leave a comment if you agree and whatever I am saying. This is an open-hearted and a very honest broadcast where I am not gonna speak about laws or absolute truths. I am going to speak from the perspective of experience, my own experience, my own knowledge being brought up by the Dominican nuns and by as a staunch Roman Catholic and a devoted Marian to the mother of all mothers and the Marys in the plural. I have a particular and personal experience of connection to this very special feminine energy. There is only Mary or Our Lady Fatima. I can see here Connie de Gouveia, Luis from South Africa. Thank you so much for watching us. I believe it's the first time you join us, so very, 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 very welcome. And I hope that you have a good a good evening, that everything is well with you and with yours, and that you can also let us know if you are devoted or you have um, somehow special connection with Mary. And to all of you, remember that I am starting, so I've started last Saturday in English at 11:11 in the morning, South African time. These talks about Mary and about Fatima very specifically, and they will run every Wednesday at the same time at 8:08 in the evening, South African time in English, and then on Saturdays at 11:11 in the morning, South African time in Portuguese. And all of these talks and all of these discussions will be posted in our website on www.1111letthejourneybegin.com. There is a window at the top saying blog. This blog is interactive, so you can and you are invited already to place your comments, to place your views, and also to write on that same blog. Hello, Zelia Pombo from South Africa. Very, very welcome. I hope that you enjoy. I have my three doggies here with me, so along this transmission, I hope that you don't mind if they just sometimes they speak. I have two miniature pinchers. They are very, very spoiled, Minnie and Cooper. And Minnie is just a flirt. He's actually here by my side. And an Irish setter called Luna, which is very much of a high maintenance girl and very a lady of her own knows. Um, I have with me my rosary. Actually, it's my mom's rosary. My mom is in Portugal. She's in an old age home called Santa Casa da Misericórdia de Guimarães, Lar de Sampaio. And if you are watching me from there, big, um, big hug. And God bless and thank you for all your care. Hello, Tony Nunes from South Africa. Good evening. Welcome here. I'm very, very happy to have you. And my mom, she's a devoted Marian, and herself, she was brought up as an orphan in Guarda, no Colégio das Dominicanas da Guarda, and she did initiated her vows, and then, well, by a plan, a higher plan of God, she met my father, and she ended up marrying him, and having me and my two siblings, and bringing us up with the nuns, so which were her teachers and her colleagues became almost like my aunts and my grandmothers. And one of them, Irma Samuel, she's still alive. She's 97. She is in the Lar de Repouso das Irmãs Dominicanas em Aveiro. God bless you. I love you so much, minha querida Irmã Samuel. And I always hold this rosary from my mom. Has been in all ceremonies with me and also in our lives, my mom and my siblings. And my mom has with her everyday rosary. And I also have with me the Zena, so it's 10 Holy Marys. From this one is from my oldest daughter, and my oldest daughter Teresa. She has been consecrated to Holy Mary of Fatima, and this is a small Zena from Santiago de Compostela or St. James. So I am not sure if you were able to be with us last week, where we talked about a little bit of the background of the everything you needed to know about Fatima, but also an historical context, because we are talking about events that started with the apparition of an angel in 1916, and what appeared to be aurora borealis that was seen by Lucia, the oldest one of the shepherds and the seers, and two of her older sisters. And let us keep in mind that back in 1917, the country of Portugal, like most of the rest of the world, was at war. And at World War First raged throughout Europe, Portugal found itself unable to maintain its initial neutrality and joined forces with the Allies in order to protect colonies in Africa and to defend their trade with Britain as well. So about 220,000 Portuguese civilians died during First World War, thousands due to food shortages, and thousands more from the Spanish flu. And isn't that curious that 103 years after we are talking about such a huge pandemic, this time also globally, but not in terms of a war, but also cutting short jobs and families and social gatherings, and making us come back to the journey of being with self and educating again our own children. Like back in 1917, some families, the ones that had a little bit more of comfort, were able to do. They were able to teach their own children to read and how to write. As the same thing that happened to Lucia, the oldest one of the seers, that after being a shepherd for almost 5 years, and remember she was only between 10 to 12 between when these events took place, that she decided to actually agree with her mom, with whom she had a little bit of a hiccup relationship, to actually go and learn how to write and how to read. So then last week on Saturday, we also touched about what was the first appearance of Mary. And the next, so in 2016, when Lucia saw this, had the visitation of an angel um, in the summer of 1916. And remember that Lucia was the youngest of a family of 7 children. She has become shepherding her family's flock along with 3 of her friends, Teresa Matias and her sister Maria Rosa and Maria Justine. So during this time, an angelic figure, which is not also uncommon when talking about Mary, and especially if we go back to a visit to her cousin Isabel and also to Esther, and the visits of Gabriel, the angel. So during this time, there was an annunciation of an angel. And the next year, on May 5th, 1917, Pope Benedict XV wrote a pastoral letter to the world asking the faithful to petition Mary to bring an end to the war. And isn't it curious that only 8 days later, Mary appeared for the first time on May 13 to 3 shepherd children, Lucia, 10 years old, and her 2 cousins, Francisco and Jacinta Marto, 9 and 7 years old respectively, in a Cove of the Iria, or the Cove of Irene, almost limestone desert, forgotten place almost by God. Illiterate children, and only 8 days later, after the Holy See petition to devote the world to Mary, she appeared to these children. But aside from these 3 children, no one was present during the first apparition. But as the word spread, the crowds would grow. And the second apparition, that was the children's fate. For the second apparition on June 13, dozens of onlookers testified that they were able to see above the tree where the children saw Mary. This time she showed the children her immaculate heart, pierced with thorns, representing the sins of mankind. By the third apparition, the great secret is given. On July 13, Mary revealed that has come to known as the great secret of Fatima, a secret that Lucia divided into 3 parts and slowly revealed to the public over time. 2 parts of the secret were revealed in 1941 when Lucia was asked to record her memoirs by the local bishop. The rest was not revealed until the year 2000, a bit in the 1950s, but the great lot by the year 2000. And if you follow this sequence of events and these talks in English every Wednesday at 8:08 in the evening until the 13th of October, and in Portuguese on Saturdays 11:11 in the morning South African time, you will find out all of these nitty-gritties and all the small details that don't come publicly as much. Most of them are of public knowledge, but most of it is by people from Fatima, from Oran, from Lisbon, and people that have been closer to the Marian cause. And I am very fortunate to have listened all of these stories by many mouths in many places, um, and the same story, and the same stories with more details here and there in Portugal. So the fourth apparition, the kidnapping, with the anti-Catholic sentiment still prevalent in the country, the mayor in the district of Fatima had grown suspicious of the growingly popular apparitions and had unsuccessfully tried to get the children to renounce their story, to tell them you're lying, it's your imagination, tell us the truth, you're embarrassing your family, and so forth and so forth. There are stories even that hot olive oil was used to make these children speak the truth. Now, if that is true or not, we don't know. Can be a tale. But what we know is there was a want to stop the children from seeing the fourth apparition. Artur Santos, an apostate Catholic, and I Mason, who was the local mayor, offered the children and their parents a ride in his car to the Cova area on August 13. However, he advised us to abandon the parents and to take the children alone to the district headquarters in Vila Nova de Orem, about 9 miles away. And despite bribes, threats of death by burning oil, and threatening to lock them in a cell with criminals, the children never recanted their story. Frustrated and fearing retaliation from the faithful who had grown to love the apparitions, the mayor had the children taken back to Fatima after 2 days, much to the relief of their parents. We are talking about 7, 8, and 10-year-old children, shepherds, back in 1917. How terrifying that would be if it would happen today, 2020. Can you imagine 103 years ago when families don't have a car, they don't have possessions, there's no mobile phones, there's no internet, there is nothing than fear and anger and honesty and family and prayer. Mary then appeared briefly to the children privately a few days later, repeating a request to pray the rosary daily for the reparation of sins, and asking them to come back on the 13th of the next month and every month following, always at noon, to that same place, to that same area, to the Cova da area, where there was a bush of a azinhaga, now not a tall tree, but a tree that had a spring. And the lady would float over that tree, and the children would stay on the left as they were coming down the hill. And they will kneel to pray. And one day, the lady said, build a chapel in the memory of the rosary in this place. And that is where today is the Capela das Aparições, in the Santuário de Fátima. Are you following me? Give me a thumbs up or some sign if you have any doubts. Yeah, much love. And my heart is pounding right now as I speak. So, the fifth apparition is being said as a pillar of clouds and a shower of flowers. Why? Because the sky went dark and there was like flocking of white flocks coming from the sky. But remember, this was pure summer in Portugal, and specifically in that very arid and dry region, temperatures rise to 40 degrees, sometimes 42. So it's a little bit strange that it would be anything as snow or hail. But flowers, what was it then? So during the fifth apparition, rather than discourage the onlookers, the kidnapping incidents in August led to an even greater crowd for the September apparition. This time, the visible signs of Mary's presence became even more pronounced to the crowd. Several witnesses said they were able to see a globe of light and then a pillar of cloud about 8 meters high by the tree where Mary always appeared. So many onlookers also describe a shower of small white objects. They thought they could be snowflakes or rose petals. And there's also why there is an association of Our Lady of Fatima as the Rose Lady and the Rose Mary, the Rosary. So these white snowflakes or rose petals, they fell from the sky, but they disappear before they touch the ground. So many again repeated, Mary again repeated the promise to the children that she would come again next month, the 13th, at midday, ao meio-dia, and tell the children who she would tell the children who she was and what she wanted, and that she would perform a miracle so that all may see and believe. Excuse me. And so Lucia, actually, Jacinta, the youngest one, she asked the lady, they don't believe in us. And remember, Francisco couldn't hear the lady. And the lady always said that soon she would take Jacinta and Francisco, but Lucia would have to wait many, 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 many years. But Francisco, excuse me, he never heard a lady. So he would say, no, they saying the lady is saying. So the onlookers thought that, oh, you see, these two, the girls are lying because Francisco can't hear. But Francisco would say, no, no, she's here. I can see her, but I can't hear her. The lady says, I have to pray the rosary. And then on the final apparition, and also called the miracle of the sun. So now this apparition, we actually have plenty of photographs, even videos, and a lot of newspaper news, and also Almeida Garrett, a very, very, very renowned Portuguese poet. He as well went to the Covadeiria to witness and to write about this happening. And he as well witnessed and wrote about the miracle of the sun and what appeared to be a ball of fire, a spiral ball of fire. So on October 13th of 1917, the crowds of witnesses had grown to over 70,000. Both faithful and skeptics, agnostic, alike gathered for what would be the last Marian apparition to the children in the Covadonga, eager to see the sign from heaven that Mary had promised, because she had promised a miracle, and she had promised to say why she was appearing. So the crowds started together at 11:30. Some said even at 11:11, not realizing that Mary would appear at solar noon rather than at noon according to local time. The children, however, knew when to expect Mary, and they arrived at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, shortly before 1:30, which is the solar noon, when Mary would appear. As many witnesses described, a steady rain fell on the night of October 12th through the morning of the 13th, and the air was fresh and plowed the field of the Covadonga, and this place was transformed into a muddy, wet mess, like last summer rains, the first rains of autumn, with the leaves, with the brown, yellow, orangey leaves, and 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 the fields that had been worked on and revolved the land. So everything was a little bit of a wet mess, through which the crowds plotted and waited. And there is many tales that say that people, they stayed during the night. They were waiting. They were eager in their faith for a sign of for hope, for the end of war, for the end of famine and anger and death. They were eager for something miraculous to occur. So Almeida Garrett, which was a professor of natural sciences at the University of Coimbra, the oldest European university, he was present. He was also a renowned author. He was present for this miracle of the sun. And he wrote down his eyewitness account. And it's included in the book Fatima. It is said that is Fátima pelas próprias palavras de Lucia, ou as memórias da irmã Lucia, the memoirs of Sister Lucia. And because he had arrived too early to the scene, expecting that the miracle would happen at noon, or meia-meia, by the clock instead of by the sun, he waited in the shelter of his car, looking rather, calmly towards the place where they said that the apparition would be seen, and not daring to step outside of the car to that muddy earth. Finally, at about 1:30, there was a tube of rose smoke, and all of the sudden disappeared at that same spot where the children were. So these pink clouds, this pink smoke, actually indicated Mary's arrival. And once she came, Lucia asked the lady, what did the lady wanted? So Mary again repeated the request for daily rosaries and asked that a chapel be built at the apparition site honoring the Lady of the Rosary, which she revealed to the children as her identity. She was the Lady of the Rosary, Nossa Senhora do Rosário de Fátima. She also promised that the war would soon end and the soldiers would return home. She said she should heal some of the people the children had recommended, like a small boy that had never walked, but said that people must amend their lives and ask pardon for their sins. And Francisco, he too had to pray and pray the rosary a lot, and that the lady would soon come to fetch him. So the lady of the rosary then departed, and Lucia recounted and reappeared that Mary, the lady, reappeared to the children first with Joseph and the child Jesus, and then dressed as Mary under different titles, namely Our Lady of Sorrows, and then Our Lady of Mount Carmel. Then Mary cast her own line and she disappeared upon the sun, and the rain stopped. The clouds dispersed and the sky cleared, catching the attention of all of that crowd, all of those onlookers. What happened next has been described as the miracle of the sun, or the time the sun danced. As we witness when the sun rises in the morning, and if we look at the first, as the sun comes out, dawn, break of dawn, and we see that fire, that circle, and it has like this flames around it. So that's what the people describe it as a huge ball of sun. And they were scared. There was a tremor, like a earthquake. The earth shake, the clouds. It was dark and light. It was scary. People said, we looked easily at the sun, which did not blind us. It seemed to flicker on and off, first one way and then another. It shot rays in different directions and painted everything in different colors. What was most extraordinary is that the sun did not burn anyone's eyes at all. Everything was still and quiet. Everyone was looking upwards. So Tio the father of the visionaries, Jacinta and the Francisco Marto, he recounted that it was true. The children were saying the truth. And there was even a Portuguese newspaper that reported that by midday the sun and the rain stopped. The sky was pearly grey in color, illuminated the vast and landscape with a strange, very strange light. The sun had a transparent, gauzy way that the eye could easily be fixed on it. And the grey mother of pearl tone turned into a sheet of silver with broke up clouds, and the clouds parted, and the silver sun, a silver sun, enveloped in the same gauzy grey light. So everything was described as a huge sun, a silver sun on a grey sky with pink smoke. Of course, at that time, we have many photos, but all in black and white. But we can witness that something, some phenomena did happen. So before their dazzled eyes, the sun trembled, the sun made unusual and shifted, because people said that it would throw rays to the right and to the left and in many directions, so people were confused about what happened. But also, Almeida Garret added that the sun seemed to be a living body. It looked like a will made of mother of pearl. So this must have been a very phenomenal event. So there have been numerous witnesses that corroborated to the phenomenon of the whirling, the dancing, colorful sun, which at one moment seemed to be terrifying and holy. And the crowds were expecting the end of the world to come at any moment. They expected that, no, this is the message of this apparition. Because we live in sin, and this is the war, and this is now going to be the end of the world. And after a moment, the once soggy and muddy crowds discovered that they were completely dry, and the sky opened to a blue sky with not one cloud, as nothing had happened. And the crowd cheered the children, and they recognized the miracle. Hello, Vera. I'm very happy that you are here. And yes, this for today is the story that I would like to leave you and think about. And there is a whole lot more that happened now. How did the church react? How did the community react? What happened to these children? What were these messages that the lady left? What else did she say? What are these miracles? Was just the miracle of the sun? As I said, there were many secrets. In Portugal, we said that there were 3 secrets, maybe 3 major secrets, but the last one was break up by Lucia in many parts. So today, I would like to listen to what you heard so far. If you have any questions for me, anything that you would like to discuss, and also to remind you that on Saturday, 11:11 South African time, we will debate more about this theme and Our Lady of Fatima in Portuguese. And then next week, Wednesday, so it's gonna be, let me check here the calendar. So on the Saturday, the 19th of September at 11:11 South African time, we're going to have the second part. We're going to listen about the second part in Portuguese. Then on Wednesday, same time, 8:08 in the evening. So Wednesday, the 23rd of September, we're going to listen to the second part in English. Then Saturday the 26th at 11:11, we're going to hear the third part in Portuguese. Wednesday the 30th at 8:08 in the evening, we're going to hear the third part in English. Then Saturday the 3rd of October, the fourth part in Portuguese. Wednesday the 7th of October, the fourth part in English. Saturday the 10th, we will hear At 11:11, the fifth part in Portuguese. And then on Monday, the 12th, we will hear the last part in English. And on the 13th of October, we will have a guest and we will pray live a rosary in English and in Portuguese. So I hope that you all stay safe, that you will enjoy these talks. If you have any questions or any comments, please drop it here. You can always contact me directly. And you can also read more on our website, www.1111letthejourneybegin.com, and on our blog. Leave your remarks, your comments there. I'll promise that I'll get back to you in the next 24 hours. Hello, Tony and Nunes. Thank you so much. And if any of you would like to participate and be on live as well for that rosary, please indicate me, because then instead of me doing a stream on Facebook, I will arrange either a Zoom or a StreamYard link that more of us can come on the big screen and share prayer and share comments and voice, and the power of the word is very, very, very special. And I keep you in my heart and in my prayers. And thank you so much. It is so special. And I'm a little bit overwhelmed right now. It's very special, and I hope that you all have a blessed evening, that you stay safe and your families as well, and that you keep your faith and you keep your hope and you never give up and you always put your chin up, and that you remain open to the Sacred Heart of Mary. God bless you from any walk of life, from any faith. May you be comforted and safe. With much, 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 much love to all of you. Stay blessed. And see you Saturday at 11:11 in the morning, this same place. Take care. Bye-bye. You can leave your bye-byes and tell me where you're from. Here, Tony Nunes Vera from Portugal. And of course, Lloyd from here. And Zelia Pombo from South Africa. And Connie the Gouveia Louise, also from South Africa. Thank you very much for joining us, for being here. And I hope to see you soon. Saturday, 11:11. Let the journey begin. Take care.